Hi, Abhishek. Thank you for joining the call today. Are you ready? Can we get started?
Yeah, it's fine.
Could you please state your legal name and your location and the availability to start the project?
Yes, my name is Abhishek Kakani, and I currently live in Chicago. I need 2 weeks of
Hmm.
notice period.
Okay. So, can you please briefly summarize your experience?
Well, initially I started my career as a Linux admin, and later on I shifted towards the Hadoop with my relevant experience with Linux. And I currently work as a big data engineer at EMC. My responsibilities mostly include on the administrative part,
Okay.
which includes installing configuration and tuning of the cluster as per the requirement from the developers. I at EMC maintain different phases of SDLC lifecycle clusters. For example, dev, QA stage, and eprod. We do have a production environment, but to get hands-on, I need to go through the change request process. And coming to the analytics at DMC, we generally have, you might have heard about DMC, it's a device-related company. And our devices are configured in such a way to get an auto support file, which is the primary source of the analytics, which we do on the Hadoop cluster. So each and every EMC device is configured in such a way to receive auto support file on a minute, hour, and a daily basis. So this is the source of Hadoop analytics at EMC. So we have Flume through which we ingest our data onto the Hadoop environment. You might have wondered why we were not using Scoop, but as I have told, we were having auto support files, which needs continuous ingestion of data. So if we go into the Flume folder structure, we'll be having a bucket for every 10 minutes. So in such a way, we ingest the data, which is a sequence file, onto the Hadoop environment. Once the data is loaded onto the Hadoop environment, we do have scheduled jobs which were written by the developers, which take care of each part of the auto support file and process the data accordingly. So once the data is processed on the Hadoop environment, this processed data is useful for the support engineers, for the storage engineers to meet our SLS, the for the case creations and many more. Coming to my environment, I generally maintain dev, QA, stage, and eProd environments with 30 nodes in place, and each of 30 terabytes of capacity with 48 cores in place. So in general, I I can
Do you
commission
have
the
any
node.
certificate?
Yeah, pardon. Hello.
Yes, I was asking when you are managing this cluster, Hadoop cluster,
Yeah.
what was your role? Are you alone managing the system or you are working with the other administrators?
No, I do have two more candidates who support me. So we entirely look onto
Okay.
the Hadoop environment, and we do have engineers who write code at Bangalore, India. So we generally maintain the cluster and schedule the jobs which are provided by the developers.
Okay. Are you who is responsible for managing the cluster? Overall responsibility. Who was managing?
Overall responsibility, me and one more guy is there, is Kimpal. So we both manage the cluster.
Okay.
Or until the ePro environment, we do have separate team for the production environment. So
I
during
see.
the upgrades and the patches, we generally join the call during the
Hmm.
issue resolution. But in
Okay.
order to get an hands-on, we need to go through the change request process.
Okay. So, in your experience so far, what are the performance bottlenecks you have seen in Hadoop clusters?
So right now we were working with the Cloudera vendor. So
Hmm.
Recently, we have transformed to the 5.44, which is Hadoop 2 architecture. So once we have shifted on to the 5.44, we used to get different kinds of errors. For example, in 5.44, while tuning yarn, we need to be very much careful with our use case. So even if we have tuned yarn, there is a spreadsheet which shows the number of containers released for each application. In 5.44, there is a bug saying that even if the containers were released, we will see a zero container, which is one of the bug at 5.44 CDH version, which we have requested for the patch with the Cloudera and we have upgraded it. I mean, we have applied the patch to the entire environments. And sometimes we do have HA in our environments, in our engineering environment. So sometimes the quorum version file comes out of picture, so they won't be in sync. So at that time, I generally take the file which is in sync with the quorum and replace it with the host specific details, and I will restart the node in order to get in line with the synced quorum journal nodes. And coming to the bottleneck, it's been a scary one because I was the guy who have upgraded the cluster onto the production environment and have tuned it. It's a 100 node cluster, and I have tuned the yarn environment onto the production environment. So after tuning, it's been after 3 to 4 months, there was an issue with the yarn in which the resource manager showed entirely zero, which means zero containers. The resources were completely zero. It was a scary one because it's an production environment. At the time, we have got the support from the Cloudera as well. It's a minor issue saying that the logs have reached 90%, which we were unaware of. So we have inserted the parameter which increases the logs to the 95% and the issue got resolved. It was one of the scary one being an production incident. And yeah, I generally troubleshoot the issues which were given by the developers. I work with the developers team for the issue resolution. I go to the logs and take the
So
necessary action.
you can manage the cluster by yourself.
Yeah,
Okay. And as far as the log files, what issues have you faced in terms of complexity,
well,
and the log file sizes? How do you ensure that the cluster still runs with, peak performance, and you manage the log files in the backend?
yeah, right now we generally configure the log directories at each and every node. So whenever an issue arises, we generally log on to the individual boxes. We can go through the general GUI, but it generally shows 50 to 60 records. So I generally log on to the individual box and I'll take care of the errors. It depends on the application specific. So when it comes to the connectivity issues, I can take care of it just by resolving it. If it is application specific, I need to work with the developer.
Okay. No, but like, have you done any off low? Any if you do you have to bring down that logged server and
Yeah, I mean,
like?
generally, if there is any issue, we generally need to submit a diagnostic bundle to the Cloudera support team. So at that time, I need to download the logs and I have to share it with the Cloudera support team. So at that time, I need to take care of the logs.
No, not really the Cloudera team. It's like, for
Okay.
example, within your Hadoop cluster, you
Okay.
have an issue wherein the log file is growing crazy. So how do you manage issues like that?
Yeah. What do you mean by going crazy? I didn't get.
Like it's generating tons and tons of log and it's filling up the file system.
No, as I have told you, we were not maintaining our logs onto the Hadoop
Okay.
environment. So if we are going to, we can maintain on the Hadoop environment, but right now we were not maintaining on the Hadoop environment. So we need to log on to the individual box. We do have an NFS mount wherein the logs gets aggregated. So we generally go on to the individual box and I will go through the individual tasks which got failed and I will reattempt to success them.
So have you faced this issue before, like the log files creating acting as a performance bottleneck?
Yeah, I mean, as I've told you, it's been with the yarn, but apart
Okay,
from that, I haven't. Even that was which I was not aware of that one. It is the default value, which is 90% of the logs. When it got accumulated, the yarn goes down completely.
okay,
We can load the logs onto the HDFS environment by maintaining job history server, so that we can go on to the application specific logs at a single point instead of logging into different boxes.
okay. All right. So I think there will be like one more maybe detailed technical interview with that Accenture hiring manager.
Okay.
So how good are you in terms of scripting?
Okay. I'm
How good
comfortable.
are you in scripting?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with shell. I mean, and I know the Java. I'm not a developer, so individually the Hadoop works with the Java. So each and every exceptions and the errors being thrown should have a Java knowledge. So I'm well versed with this shell, but I'm not pretty confident with the Java because I haven't developed any applications yet.
Okay. And what's your visa status?
It's H1B.
And you said you need 2 weeks notice, right?
Yeah,
Okay. How many years are left on your H1?
it's 1 year. It can be extended because recently I have filed my I-140. So
Okay, I see. All right, Abhishek, do you want to say anything apart from whatever we have discussed so far, mostly based on performance on Hadoop clusters?
no, it's fine.
Is there any?
It's up. No,
All right, thank you very much. So most likely there will be like the hiring manager from Accenture. They might call you
okay.
and take it from there. Okay.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
your
for
time.
taking.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
been nice
Bye bye.
talking to you. Bye bye.